directed by Greg Mottola, who also did Superbad and Adventureland. And it's written by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, who usually, they work with Edgar Wright in Britain. And so this is kind of their, let's try to co-opt American comedy kind of thing. And basically what it's about is that they play two British comic book geeks who come to America to do a tour of all of the major science fiction pseudoscience spots in America along the West Coast and Area 51 and the Black Mailbox and all of that stuff. And on their way, they get in a car accident and discover a real-life alien voiced by Seth Rogan named Paul. And Paul's a regular dude kind of alien. He's a stoner. He's kind of like that roommate you had in college, but with giant green eyes. And Paul's trying to escape the military, who is after him because they want to do experiments and all that stuff. And Jason Bateman actually plays the main military dude, Lieutenant Zoyle, who is after him, and working under him is Bill Hader and that squeaky guy from the jerky commercials.
Yeah.
His name I can never remember. And so basically it sort of becomes a road comedy of them trying to hide this alien, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, while these military guys are trying to chase him. And I really liked the general setup of the movie and the idea for the movie, and I think Nick Frost, Simon Pegg, and Seth Rogen have a good chemistry. Seth Rogen as this CGI alien. Have a good chemistry, and there's sort of a buddy, bromance-y sort of thing kind of going on there. There's also sort of this funny sort of thing where there's a jealousy over who gets to be better friends with the aliens, and there's some good ideas in there, and there's some pretty good laughs within the first 2/3 of the movie, but I feel like the movie kind of goes off the rails by the third act. The stakes get higher and higher and higher, and as these kind of comedies go, they kind of forget to keep you laughing because they're too concerned about car chases and explosions and houses blowing up and these kinds of things, and shootouts and these things, and you're like, what movie am I at anymore? And they introduce this Kristen Wiig character who, I love you, Kristen, but you don't need to be in every comedy. Who plays this girl named Ruth, who's been raised hyper-religiously, and Paul, the alien, has this psychic sensibility to show her all of the answers of the universe so that she can get a better understanding of things. And I feel like there's some pokes at religion that this movie does, which, compared to Super, which also, they poked pretty hard too, but I felt Super did it in a much more subversive and interesting way. This movie, I didn't feel really earned that humor, and I felt like it was a little mean-spirited on their behalf, just to say like, oh well, aren't they so ignorant, and look at them, and all we need is just touch your head.
They're
and
just
all
a bunch of hillbillies.
Right. And I felt like the Kristen Wiig character in general muddles the story. It's like I was saying with Source Code. Usually the romantic angle kind of feels forced, and I feel like her character is very forced in this movie. And by the end of the movie, there's so many characters that the triad of the Seth Rogen, Nick Frost, Simon Pegg angle, which I felt like is the heart of the movie, really kind of loses any kind of development, further development of these characters, and their character arc kind of falls apart by that third act. So I like the movie. I think it's kind of stylish, and it's entertaining, but I felt like it was only good when it could have been great. So I give it a B-.
Nice. I like this a little less than you. I give it a C.
Okay.
I was a little bit more critical of just how entertaining it was. I was bored halfway through the movie. I mean, I like bromance movies. I like a lot of the Simon Pegg stuff. I mean,
yeah, all the Edgar Wright stuff. Yeah,
it's just, but I think what it is it's these two British guys trying to be in America, and I think they're trying to make an American movie, and they can't. They're British humor, and I like British humor, so I'll enjoy it. But
yeah,
I think a lot of it was trying to make fun of America as British people, and then
and it feels like they were sort of dumbing themselves down. Yeah.
And there was, I mean, I think the only reason I gave it a C instead of like a D+ is because there was all these great Star Wars references throughout it, which made me really happy.
A lot of great references. There's a lot of Spielberg references too, even the way Mottola shoots it with like E.T. and and Close Encounters and kind
So
of.
I
that
really
kind of
like
stuff.
that part where it's just a lot of extra stuff that made.
Yeah.
I got like the Easter eggs of movies, which
Yeah.
was good. But other than that, I thought there was absolutely no substance to this. I was like, this is a stoner movie. I
Yeah.
mean, I like Superbad more than I like this movie. And that's awful because Jonah Hill is terrible and should never be in movies.
I like Superbad.
I know. It's okay.
And usually I really like Greg Mottola. I think out of the Apatow Directors League, Mottola I think is the most interesting and has the best eye. He almost reminds me, visually he reminds me a lot of Linklater, Dazed and Confused, but I just felt like everybody was kind of working for a paycheck in this movie. It didn't really gel here like it should have, and it was not nearly as funny as it could have been.
And in the end, it almost got so star-studded it borderline those Valentine's Day kind of movies, where it's just let's throw stars at this.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just cameo after cameo after cameo.
Which, look who I know in Hollywood.
Yeah, and the heart of the movie, that bromance, like completely kind of fades to the background. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to our